energy drinks bad? Well, that's exactly what I wanted to figure out. So today we're going to look at the truth behind the energy drinks, where they came from, what is inside them, and whether they're actually harmful or they're just victim of bad marketing. Caffeine has been part of human life since at least 2700 BC, according to Chinese legends about brewing tea to stay alert. But since this video isn't about caffeine itself, let's jump to the first modern energy drink. 1950s, Japan. The World War II had just ended, leaving the country with a lot of shortages, including medical drugs. A pharmaceutical company called Taisho, known for over-the-counter medicines and tonics, began searching for a new product. Their attention turned to taurine. On their website, they even claimed that during the war, Japanese Navy was using taurine to stay alert and reduce the fatigue during the night shifts. A romantic story, right? Except that there is no evidence other than their website that it actually happened. But let's go back to our story. In 1960, Taisho launched a new product, lipovitan liquid, a 20 ml bottle with taurine and vitamins. And the marketing was wild. Medical miracle that treats fever, cough, neuralgia, fatigue, and increases alertness. A literal cure-all. Of course, years later, Taisho admitted that they never ran clinical trials. It was pure marketing. But despite that, lipovitan became really popular, mostly among older adults. So Taisho decided to rework the formula for a wider audience. They carbonated it, added caffeine, sugar, vitamins, flavoring, and increased the packaging to 100 milliliters. And that's how Lipovitan D was born, the world's first energy drink, even though people didn't call it that yet. This time it caught on. Initially advertised as cure for everything, it became popular among overworked office workers who used it to fight fatigue and stay focused. As sales grew, the company shifted its message from universal medicine to energy booster, as we know it today. After their success in Japan, Taisho decided to expand internationally, first around Asia in 1965, then to the US and Europe, but they were using a different name, Lipovitan B3. But that version never really went viral, it just didn't make the same splash outside of the home country. So overall, the early years of the energy drink industry were kind of quiet. Until 1987, that's when an Austrian company introduced Red Bull, inspired by a Thai drink called Krating Dang. They launched it on April 1st, 1987, and basically created the new product category, energy drinks. At first, people were skeptical. Nobody really knew what it's supposed to be, but Red Bull used really smart strategy: free sampling, sponsoring sport and nightlife events, and targeting students. And that worked. It became the first energy drink brand to go global. Of course, once something new becomes popular, government agencies stepped in to take a closer look. The first bans came from Europe. In 1996, when Red Bull started to expand internationally, France, Norway and Denmark banned it over concerns about taurine. Health authorities worried about possible side effects, since taurine was severely under-researched back then. So Red Bull released a taurine-free version for France. The ban stayed in place for 12 years, until 2008, and it wasn't removed because of safety of taurine. The European Union regulations just forced those countries to lift the ban. Basically, if a product is sold in other European Union countries and is not proven to be harmful, you cannot just ban it. Okay, so maybe any other bans? Not really, except of a few recent regulations in European countries that forbid to sell the energy drinks to people under 18. Okay, then what about the US? The first popular energy drink, Red Bull, was introduced on the American market in 1997. But there was literally no regulations until 2009. And that year the issue wasn't about energy drinks alone. It was about mixing them with alcohol. The caffeine would mask the feeling of being drunk, and as a result, people would get severe alcohol poisoning or would drive while drunk. As a result, a lot of people died. So the restriction actually made sense. Aside from that, the FDA only issued general warnings about high caffeine intake. So there is no law anywhere in the world that would officially classify energy drinks as harmful. Okay, so maybe the danger isn't legal. Maybe it's chemical, Let's take a closer look of what's exactly inside an energy drink. A typical ingredient list would look something like this. Caffeine, we will come back to it in a second. Water and carbonation, I hope you can guess why I'm not going to focus on that. Acetylants and stabilizers, things like citric acid to keep the pH and flavor stable. They're all regulated and safe. Flavor system, it just depends on the brand. Sweetener system, sugar or its substitutes. And last one, additives, like vitamins, taurine or amino acids. They differ from brand to provide additional effect. Maybe the devil's hiding somewhere here. Let's find out. Did you know that caffeine is one of the most researched stimulants in the world? It's absorbed in around 45 minutes after you drink it and works in a pretty simple way. When you're awake, a chemical called adenosine builds up in your brain. That's what makes you feel tired. Once absorbed, caffeine blocks adenosine receptors. That's what keeps you more alert and energetic. If you stay under 400 milligrams per day from all sources, research shows no negative short or long-term effect for healthy adults. Acute toxic effects usually appear only about 1 gram, and lethal doses are around 10 grams, which is a lot. Of course, those numbers vary for each person, and children should not consume caffeine at all. Long-term effects of exceeding 400 milligrams of caffeine per day are still being studied. Here is a chart of caffeine content in the most popular energy drinks in the US. And as you can see, you can safely drink 1 can. You won't go over limit. And for some of the brands, you can even drink 2 if you want. So caffeine itself isn't the villain here. So if not caffeine, maybe the danger lays somewhere else? Yeah, the mysterious ingredient that started all the bans, taurine. Taurine is an amino acid that plays a key role in cell stability, blood pressure regulations, and antioxidant protection. Your body naturally produces it. You can find it in meat, seafood, eggs, dairy, and energy drinks. Some research suggests that taurine may help with muscle recovery and reduce fatigue after exercises. It might also improve fat metabolism during cardio. But there's very little evidence that taurine actually increases energy or alertness. So no, it's not the thing that wakes you up in the energy drinks, it's still caffeine. Then why include it? Well, taurine might help stabilize the nervous system, basically smoothing out some of the caffeine's harsher effects, like increased heart rate or jitters. And of course, there is a fact that the history of energy drinks started with taurine. Okay, so far it sounds like a really good ingredient. What were those bans for, right? If not for one issue, lack of research. We still don't have long-term data of the effects of taurine, especially in combination with caffeine. But it's not as scary as it sounds. First of all, it's not something synthetic. It's literally an amino acid that your body produces itself. Also, animal studies show plausible biochemical reasons for why taurine and caffeine can coexist safely together. And on top of that, the decades of research show no consistent evidence for taurine toxicity. So, while there is not enough data to say that it's 100% safe, there is also no data to prove that it's harmful. In fact, in the US, taurine is classified as generally recognized as safe. Some studies suggest that consuming up to 6 grams of taurine per day should not cause any negative effects. If you look at the taurine content in some of the energy drinks, you will notice it's much easier to exceed your caffeine limit rather than your taurine limit. So, is taurine dangerous? I'll leave this one to you. I showed you the facts. Besides caffeine and taurine, energy drinks include other additives meant to support energy metabolism, for example, L-carnitine or B vitamins. Nothing particularly suspicious. As long as you drink energy drinks and still stay within your caffeine limit, you're fine. But let's look at one ingredient that actually can be problematic. Let's start with the sugar-free versions. Most zero drinks use artificial sweeteners, like those. Right now, all of them are considered safe within their acceptable daily intake. But research is still evolving, especially around gut microbiome and long-term metabolic effects. So since the research is still going, consuming those products in moderation is actually smart. Now let's talk about sugar, the real silent risk. The World Health Organization recommends keeping the daily sugar intake below 10% of the daily calories, roughly 25 to 50 grams per day for adults. A regular can of Monster or Red Bull can contain from 27 to 54 grams of sugar. Basically, your full day's limit or even more just in one drink. Regular high sugar intake is linked to weight gain, insulin resistance, tooth decay, chronic inflammation, increased risks of type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. So consuming an energy drink with sugar occasionally is not dangerous as an occasional treat. But daily consumption leads to clear long-term health risks. So overall, sugar is the only ingredient of the energy drink with proven long-term harm. There isn't a single ingredient in energy drinks that would automatically make them bad. As of today, there is no scientific evidence that they are harmful when used responsibly. Think of them as a tool, something that you can use to occasionally boost your focus, alertness, or gym performance. The real problem isn't the drink itself, it's how people use it. Energy drinks become risky when you exceed the recommended 400 milligrams of caffeine per day, you mix them with alcohol, you use them during the intense exercise without hydration, teenagers or kids drink them, you rely on them daily instead of sleep or food, you drink high sugar versions every day, or you consume them too close to the bedtime. So, to answer the question from the title of the video, are the energy drinks bad? No. But your habits around them can be. That was the video, guys. Drop in the comments what is your to-go energy drink. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos about fitness and productivity. Bye!